in the previous lecture, we talked about the various performance domains. The one whole chapter was dedicated for that, and we covered that. Today, we are going to take on one domain at a time. So, the very first performance domain is strategy alignment. So, this is chapter 3 in your standard for program management, and we are going to cover this. This is chapter 3, program strategy alignment. Can you see this? Yeah. Okay. So what do we cover in all this? So this chapter talks about, the preparation of the business case for the program, issuance of the charter, program charter, creation of the program roadmap, environmental assessment, and then the major task is program level program risk management strategy is developed, in which we'll have risk management for strategy alignment, program risk thresholds, initial program risk assessment, and program risk response strategy. This all is done here because once you have created the risk management strategy, you are all set for program management plan. So let us talk about the strategy alignment in detail. Okay. Program strategy alignment naturally is the very first domain. And what is the purpose of this domain is it identifies program outputs and outcomes. Meaning what? We want to be sure what are the benefits which are ultimately going to be realized out of this program, what is the strategy of this program, and how it is going to achieve those outputs and outcomes, and for that matter, the benefits, how they are going to be realized. Those benefits must have to be aligned with the organizational strategic goals and objectives. And for doing that, we will be creating the program business case, program charter, program roadmap, environmental assessment will have to be done, and project risk management strategy will have to be developed. To accomplish this, program managers need to have a thorough understanding of how the program will fulfill the portfolio and organization strategy, goals and objectives, and skill needs needed to align with the long-term goals of the organization. You see, now what does a program manager be ready with while he is going to be doing these tasks? Program manager, as we said earlier, we need to be aligned with the organizational strategy, and if case B, if portfolio is in between, then we must also be governed by the portfolio governance. So therefore, we have to satisfy the needs of the portfolio, and needs of the portfolio are investment decision making. So if we fulfill the criteria for the portfolio as well as we are fulfilling the ultimate organizational strategy, we are accomplish the goals and objectives which were given to this program. We also need to understand that for accomplishing these goals and objectives, what are the skills and capabilities we need to acquire or we need to have in our program, and do those skills really align with the long-term goals of the organization? Meaning what? Will we be able to deliver? Do we have the capacity to deliver? Can we deliver the organizational strategy, or for that matter, the benefit realization can be done or not? So this is the basic understanding of the program manager in the very beginning. So he needs to do all this. When an organization develops its strategy, there is typically an initial evaluation and selection process that may be formal or informal to help the organization determine which initiatives to approve, deny, or defer as part of the portfolio management practice of the organization. So this is not the program manager's job, but before the program has ever taken birth, all the business cases were presented to portfolio management, and portfolio management had to see. It also applies to the independent projects which are directly coming under the portfolio. Portfolio management has to decide that all of these feasible projects and programs, can they be started all together? Naturally not, because portfolio will have limited funding available. If that be the case, portfolio has to decide which programs and which programs and projects. I'm talking about independent projects. I'm not talking about the projects within the program, because those are the responsibility of the program, and those projects within the program are not directly answerable to the portfolio. So independent projects and programs, we, what priority do they carry? So whichever is more valuable to the organization would be placed at a higher priority, and naturally the preference for allocating the resources will be given to that project or program which is higher on the priority. So number one was that whatever comes to the portfolio is feasible. That means even before coming to the portfolio, every project or program will have to have gone through the complete business case and uh, strategy formulation, business case, business need should have been there and all that. So whether it is a program or it is an independent project, this has to go through the business case. But what the portfolio is going to decide, portfolio is just going to decide whether this project or program should be given the priority over others. Should it be started first? Because if you decide to start it now, you must be canceling the funding for some other project, because your resources were limited and you didn't have any additional money or resources available. So if this was so important to start, then probably funding will have to be stopped for some other ongoing project or program, right? So this is the level of importance portfolio can play. So here we are talking about the initial evaluation and selection process that will formally or informally help the organization determine which initiatives to approve, deny, or defer. When we say approve, deny, or defer, that is whether this feasible project or program should be done now or later. Because business case determines whether it is feasible or not, and portfolio determines whether funding can be given to this project on priority or not. So you have to understand the different nature of portfolio and the business case. The key difference between a program and a project management is the strategic focus of the program. Why? Because a program is going to deliver a higher value, is going to realize the benefit which is directly satisfying certain strategies. Programs are designed to align with the organizational strategy and facilitation of facilitate realization of organizational benefits. So those organizational benefits are directly aligned with the organizational strategy. As soon as these organizational benefits are realized, organization strategy starts getting its benefits, starts getting satisfied. So we always have to remain aligned throughout the life of a program. We always have to remain aligned. Our organizational benefits must be realized in accordance with the organizational strategy. What if the organization strategy changes down the road while we are doing the program, and program is naturally of a longer duration, maybe 10 years or 5 years? So after 1 year, but if the strategic direction of the organization is changed, will this program will still remain viable? and portfolio will allow it to keep running? There is a highly likely chance that in case the strategy changes, this program or the project, whatever is going on, may not remain valid. Their priority may change, and that may be one of the reasons why a program or an independent project may have to be cancelled or deferred, or whatever the decision is. Portfolio will recommend that, and organizational strategy, the senior executives will decide on the fate of that project or a program. But as I said earlier, with programs we are slightly more flexible. Even if the program has not achieved its goal, still we have spent a lot of money down the road, and we don't want to completely abandon the program right in the middle of everything when it is still feasible, although it is no more on top of priority, but still this program could yield certain results. So rather than closing this program down, such a drastic decision, we would rather like to defer this program. We are more strict about independent projects because independent projects may be cancelled altogether. We can cancel the programs as well, but we have to give it a second thought because programs are more important because they have got larger investment put into them. We just can't waste all the investment by just a stroke of pen. To accomplish this, as if these benefits can be realized, program manager requires strategic visioning and planning skills. He must have an eye for the organizational strategy. He should have a complete and true understanding of what the organizational vision is, how these strategies are fulfilling those visions and missions. So, as if I understand the alignment, I would be able to better plan my program to deliver those benefits more appropriately. And what will we achieve? We will be aligned with the long-term goals of the organization. So long-term goals of the objective, naturally programs would work towards the long-term goals, because short-term goals are usually 2 years or 5 years. Mid-term goals are usually 2 to 5 years. The short-term goals are like, something like a year or so, maybe little less, maybe little more, but around 1 year. And long-term goals would be something like, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 25, 50, something like that. So programs could be pretty long, right? So probably that's why people generally think that a program never finishes, but it does. But as I said earlier, we are still compassionate about programs. We don't want to suddenly close down a program. But a situation may even exist. For example, your company has been taken over by another company, and that company has a completely different strategy. They have absolutely no use for the program which is undergoing. Absolutely no use. They think that this program is not for them. They don't want to run it any further. So that could be a fit case for killing that program altogether. So that company has accepted this risk that they will absorb the shock of not doing this project, and whatever money has already been put in can go to waste. As any organization develops a strategy, there is typically an initiative, evaluation, and selection process that helps the organization determine which initiatives to apply, approve, deny, and defer. So basically, organization is there to decide whether it is on the recommendations of the portfolio manager or it is the business case which has gone to organization for approval. So organization may take the decision accordingly about to approve or deny or to defer. Whether formally or informally, an organization selects and authorizes the initiative. If it has been approved and authorized, if it has been approved, it will have to be authorized through a proper charter. The more mature an organization is in terms of program management, the more likely it is to have a formalized selection process. It should not be an informal process, although we do believe and understand that even informal processes are also acceptable at times. But this is such a large initiative you are undertaking. You cannot take chances. You must have everything written down in black and white. The decision-making body in the form of either a portfolio review board or an executive steering committee may issue a program mandate. So even before a program charter can be developed, the program mandate is given by the executive committee. That defines the strategic objectives and benefits a particular program is expected to deliver. So in a way, this mandate will give you the requirement you are supposed to be fulfilling through this program. The program mandate, which is given by either the portfolio review board or the executive committee steering committee, it confirms the commitment of organizational resources. Just like in projects, we used to say that when a project charter is issued, then project is authorized to use the resources allocated as if he can perform the job. So this program mandate is just like that. This is a commitment of organizational resources to determine if a program is the most appropriate approach for achieving these objectives and triggers the program initiation phase. So mandate will check the viability of this program and catapult it into the program initiation phase. While the project management manager leads and directs the work on their components, and what are the components of a program? Anyone who can tell me what are the components of a program?
It could be sub-programs or projects or some repeating activity. I don't know what you call it, like some sort of administrative operations.
No.
Operation, but related to program operations.
We call it program activities. In general, we call it other work. Other work is generally the operation related to the program, and this is accomplished. This is accomplished through program activities, and program activities are very much a legal component. So these are the components we are talking about. So project manager lead and direct the work on their component. Project manager we are talking about. So our project is a component and a project manager would be the lead of that component, and therefore he would be responsible for running its component. Similarly, a sub program would be a component, a sub program manager would be dealing with that. It is the program manager's responsibility to ensure alignment of the individual plans with the program's goals and intended benefits. Mind it, I am not at all saying that program manager is responsible for creating all the component plans. It's not his responsibility. But he has to ensure that all the components remain aligned with the organizational strategy, with the program strategy. And program strategy must keep aligned with the organizational strategy. So ensure alignment of the individual plans with the program's goals and intended benefits in support of the achievement of organizational strategic goals and objectives. Ultimate goal is accomplishment of organizational strategic goals and objectives. And these benefits are contributing towards that, right? Okay, this diagram will show you the environment assessment. going on. Program risk management strategy, organizational strategic plan. In compliance with that, we will first create or develop a program business case. As a result of that, the program charter will be issued. As a result of that, a program roadmap will be created, and ultimately the project management plan will take birth. So while we are doing all this, we are creating these documents, program case, program charter, program roadmap, etc. We are being governed by the risk management strategy, which we also will study here, and we would be working under certain environmental assessment, some certain environmental conditions, and they have to be assessed as well. Program strategy alignment is initiated with the development of a program business case. So the story basically starts with a program business case, and this is a document which provides us the economic feasibility. So you can say that when we talk about business case, that we are talking actually about the economic feasibility study. So business case may be called as a feasibility, or may be called as having included the economic feasibility study used to establish validity of the benefits to be delivered by a program. So this business case will justify whether the required benefits would be realized or not. And if this business case does not support that these benefits will be achieved, then ultimately the business case cannot be created. Moreover, when the business case is presented in front of the senior management, it is their prerogative whether to accept it, defer it, or simply reject it. This is one reason. There's a alignment with the business case. And the second reason is sometimes it is due to the investment decision making, due to which your business case is given a lower priority. Although it may still be feasible, but it is not allowed to start because another more important work is going on and funding is all directed towards that. It justifies the need for a program. This business case provides you a justification of the program, because if this justification does not exist, program will not exist. So it justifies the need for a program by defining how a program's expected outcomes would support the organizational strategic goals and objectives. It should be clear how this program is going to ultimately yield those benefits, and it should be justifiable. Program charter and roadmap. As a documented economic feasibility study is used to establish validity of the benefits to be delivered by a program, the business case is then further used as an input to program charter and subsequently to the program and roadmap. These three documents are established as part of program formulation activities. So, mandate was given to us, and what were we supposed to do? We were supposed to prepare three things: the business case, the program charter, and the program roadmap, which we'll talk more about. So they will all fall into the program formulation activities. This is the category in which all of these three documents would be included. During the execution of the program formulation subphase, program strategy alignment process is initiated and runs until the end of the program life cycle. So as soon as execution of the program formulation subphase is in hand, the program strategy alignment process is initiated, and that is the point when you ensure that this runs until the end of the program life cycle. Until all the work of the program is done, this strategy alignment will have to remain. This alignment will only exist if we do this project. During this time, the management processes to identify and quantify environmental factors, outcomes, and benefits, and to identify manage program risk are executed and controlled within the program governance framework. Remember, program governance framework is the ultimate book which we are supposed to be following, right? So this is kind of policies, procedures, or whatever, but this is the governance mechanism we are talking about. The program governance is all about following these guidelines. These are governance guidelines. So responsibility is with the program governance board or framework. When misalignment is identified, program management plan or organizational strategic goals and objectives should be revised to ensure an alignment. If you observe during your project that you are going out of alignment, your program management plan or your organizational strategic goals and objectives, they may have to be revised to ensure alignment, either one of them. This may occur in research most of the times because research is not always certain, where the results of the program determine that a given line of research is not likely to succeed. And the organization then changes its strategy, sometimes without cancelling or discontinuing the program, the better leverage the results of the program. It better leverages the results of the program. Let's talk a little about the business case. When we develop it, why we develop it, and all that, these questions will be answered. Organizations should build strategy to define how their vision will be achieved. Organizations, they build these strategies for the whole organization to define how their vision will be achieved. The completion of the strategic planning cycle results in the creation of or update of the organizational strategic goals and objectives. In light of your suggestion, even the strategic goals and objectives can also be flexible. The organization's vision and mission are used as input to the strategic planning cycle and are reflected throughout the strategic plan. Now let us talk about what is included in a strategic plan. Naturally, this is not a template, but still these are some of the headings a project manager should have, as if he can elaborate further on these. So it could be subdivided into a number of organizational initiatives that are influenced in part by market dynamics, customer and partner requests, shareholders, government regulations, organization strengths and weaknesses, and risk exposure and competitors' plans and actions. So all of these things actually serve to complete the organization's strategic plan. These influences may be grouped into portfolio to be executed during a predetermined period. So we talk about just a moment. Okay. Program business case. Organizations build a strategy to define how their vision will be achieved. This is at the organizational level. Organization has a dream. Organization has strategically analyzed the situation. So whenever they are redoing their strategy, that is the point which is the turning point. The completion of strategic planning cycle results in the creation of updates of the organization's strategic goals and objectives, which is documented in the organization's strategic plan. Organization's vision and mission are used as input to the strategic planning cycle and are reflected throughout the strategic plan. The organizational strategic plan is subdivided into a set of organizational initiatives, and those organizational initiatives could be influenced by, in part or by, the market research, computer partner demand, stakeholders, government regulations, organizational strengths and weaknesses and business behavior, and computer plans and actions. If you have heard the news yesterday, you would know that the the JIT which was created against that Bloch guy, we have to reconvene, and they still have to prove. Similarly, here also the decision has to be taken by someone. Anyways, so these are the various factors which are affecting our strategic planning. These initiatives may be grouped into portfolios to be executed during a predetermined period. So we could have a number of portfolios under the same portfolio, maybe different kinds of projects may be grouped together to be called a sub-program or a sub-portfolio, not a sub-program exactly, called a sub-portfolio. And somebody should have been made responsible for that portion of the work. Programs are formally evaluated, selected, and authorized. So whenever a new project comes, you need to evaluate it. You must have some criteria, maybe the KPIs or some other. So you will evaluate it formally, and after the evaluation, what is left behind is selected, and then it needs to be authorized based on their alignment and support to achieve the organization strategy. So organization strategy could say that until and unless you fulfill these basic requirements, I will not allow you to work alone. To facilitate alignment and goal setting, the organization's strategic plan is further delineated as a set of goals and objectives that may have measurable elements such as product deliverable, benefit, tool, and technique. The goal of linking the program to the organizational strategy is to plan and manage a program that will help the organization achieve its strategic goals and objectives and balance its use of resources while maximizing value. So when there is a constraint, you try to preserve your energy. You don't waste your energy. This is achieved through the business case. Now, during the program definition phase, the program manager collaborates with the key sponsors and stakeholders. And the purpose is what? To develop the program business case. Now, you would say we already have a program manager there. So, this business case is unique in its own nature. This is developed to assess the program's investment against the intended groups benefits. Benefits are intangible, most of them are, and ultimately they will be yielding the results after maybe a couple of years. But we don't have time to just move on like that. So business case is developed to assess the program's investments against the intended benefits. People who are putting in money how much money they are putting it, and moreover, the basic high level are detailed, are comprehensive. This will be handled by our own staff. Now, if you can always have, if you have sources, you can get the other staff and they can help you organize the things. It usually describes key performance parameters that can be used to assess the objectives and constraints for the intended program. Yes, of course, if whatever you have done, you need to do more than that, then we are actually talking about the business case. It usually describes key parameters that can be used to assess the objectives and constraints for the intended program. Now, business case, we are not suggesting any format as such, but as PMI suggests, our business case may be doing all this. Outcomes, approved concepts, this could be the result. Issues, they all have to be somehow recorded, and especially for the business case purposes, it should be very clear what risks you have considered. Key assumptions, because key assumptions are standing risks. Alternative solutions, when you try to do something, there it is bound to have more than one approaches, even if you are not competing against anyone outside of the organization, but within the organization also, these uh, static principles, these static details about the business case, yes, of course you create it, but is it really necessary? So this is a portfolio level decision. Intent and authority. Business case describes the intent and authority behind the drivers of the program and underlying philosophy of the business need. So what is the prime mover? Prime mover, that is basically this portion of work which is immediately under the program manager. Business case also serves as formal declaration of the value that the program is expected to deliver and a justification for the resources that will be expanded to deliver it. Then is a program justification. Business case is required as one of the document deliverables before the program can be formally chartered and may be considered as a primary justification document for an investment decision. Also, the business case describes success criteria that is maintained throughout the program. So there should be transparency. Everybody should understand what we are really talking about. The variable between the archived and the planned outcomes is calculated to measure the success of the program. We did have an opinion that this many number of tasks can be initiated here. So as more people are involved here, so probably this will be taken over. Then is the variance. You are following some tools like program management tool or some other so those things, if they are not suitable for your program, you should not be doing them. The variance between achieved and the planned outcomes is calculated to measure the success of the program. Then is the program charter. So what is mandate and what is program charter? Let us discuss that. Program charter, following the approval of the business case, the program steering committee authorizes the program. So basically, authorization is given by the steering committee by means of a program charter. And this order is given to the project manager, program manager, as a pot in which the water is dunked. Derived from the business case, the program charter is a document that assigns and authorizes a program managers, and define the scope and purpose of a proposed program presenting to presented to governance. Okay. Then what are the key elements of the charter? Again, the overall program scope must be clearly defined there. There, they must also understand the goals and objectives, success factors, timings, assumptions, controls, high risk, high level risk, and high level benefits of key stakeholders, other provisions. So whatever is scribbled here would form part of the baseline ultimately. Program charter is a document which formally expresses that organization vision, mission, and benefits expected to be produced by the program. So this should be very much crystal clear. It also defines program specific goals and objectives in alignment with the organizational strategic plan in support of the business case. Provides the program manager with the authority to leading other subsidiary programs, projects, and related activities to be initiated. So subsidiary program, sub-program, projects, and then related activities is the program work. Provides the framework by which these program components will be managed and monitored during the course of the program. As I explained to you earlier, program manager uh, is responsible for whatever is happening in his domain, but what if program manager does not share his findings with him? In that case, you are supposed to eradicate or facilitate the eradication of these facilities and ultimately back to normal life. So here we explain program charter. It formally expresses the organization's vision, mission, and benefit expected to be produced by the program. It also defines program-specific goals and objectives in alignment from the organizational strategic plan in support of the business case. It provides the program manager with the authority to leading their subsidiary programs, projects, and related activities. It provides a framework by which these program components will be managed and controlled during the course of the program. It is one of the document deliverables that will be used to measure program process. It should include the metrics of success, a method of measurement, and a clear definition of success. Then comes the discussion about the program roadmap. While planning the program manager analyzes available information. What is that information? Number one, what are the organization's strategic goals and objectives? Because he has to consider them. What are the internal and external factors affecting the project? Naturally, they must also be weighed for the new plan. And there are certain program drivers. There are certain things which drive the program in the right direction, and then there are always benefits associated with every program. So the stakeholders expect the program to realize certain levels. A program is defined, as we have discussed earlier, in terms of outcomes, required resources, and strategy for delivering the needed changes to implement new capabilities across the organization. Program roadmap is a chronological representation of a program's intended direction, graphically depicting dependencies between major milestones and decision points, which reflects the linkage between business work and program work. While elements of the program roadmap are similar to project schedule, the very look-alike, the roadmap instead outlines major program events for the purpose of planning and the development of more detailed schedules. Roadmap program roadmap also reflects the pace at which benefits are to be realized and serves as a basis for transition, integration of new capability. So every program must do its job and transmit these transitions, document them, and ultimately make them legal. While elements of the program roadmap are similar to a project schedule, as I said before, roadmap instead outlines major program events for the purposes of planning and documentation, meaning what he will share his findings with many others, and those are the people who are actually deciding the fate of it. Program roadmap also reflects the pace at which benefits are realized and serves as a basis for transition and integration of new capability. Now you can see in this diagram, just a moment. Okay, program roadmap is going to tell you what is going to be delivered when. It can be as valuable for managing the organization of a program and for assessing the progress toward achieving its selected expected benefits. To better enable effective government of the program, and program roadmap can be made or show how benefits are delivered within major stages or milestones. However, it may include the component details, their durations, and contributions to benefits. In a large communication program, for example, the roadmap may present stages of construction toward the final benefits of the construction. So this will give you a fair idea how these final benefits are going to benefit the company. In SysComp, System Development and Production Program, the program roadmap may depict how benefits such as system capabilities would be delivered. So now we will have a stronger defense. Then is roadmap. Roadmap is an effective way of communications to overarching plans and benefits to key stakeholders to build and maintain advocacy. Let's have a little break for 10 minutes and then I'll start again. Okay, yeah, I'm back. Okay, so far what we have studied is uh, we talked about three things. First of all, program mandate will be issued. Then we have to develop the program business case. Program charter will be developed, and ultimately the program, what do you call it, plan, what was that, business case, plan and roadmap. Program roadmap will be developed. Program roadmap is an outline plan how the program will will take turns. How will it be accomplished? But this is not the detailed plan. Roadmap is broadly distributing what benefits and how benefits would be realized during the life of the program. All of these three documents put together would result in the program management plan. And if I say another thing, that there is the element of program governance also there, because governance is always necessary for developing any kind of management plan. If it is program level, we need to have program governance, which naturally applies to the program and the program manager. Program manager must understand what are the governance guidelines for the program, and abiding by those governance guidelines, he would actually create the program management plan. Naturally, the journey starts from the mandate, business case, program charter, and the program roadmap, but ultimately all of these things put together will give you a very clear idea about how the program is going to turn around. Next heading is environmental assessment. Now, in this slide, is also internal and external. Programs are having a longer period of time, therefore, not only they are impacted by the environmental factors, but they could affect the environment in that long period of time. So we have to keep an eye on all the internal and external influences to the program that have a significant impact on the program's success. Influence from outside the program may be internal to the larger organization. You see, meaning what? That the influence we are considering as an outside of the program may be part of a larger organization. Program is part of the organization, but any influence coming not from program but outside of program, it may still be coming from your own organization, which is the larger organization around the program. So this might be internal to the organization, but such influences are external from program point of view, or may come from sources external to the organization. So from looking at the angle of organization, the the influences could be internal to the organization or external to the organization, internal to the program or external to the program. Program manager should identify these influences and take them into account when managing the program in order to ensure ongoing stakeholder alignment. The program's continued alignment with the organizational strategic goals and objectives and overall program success. So keep these three ducks aligned. First of all, your alignment with your ongoing stakeholders, because stakeholder engagement is required. So you must be doing whatever your stakeholders are really willing to see. Moreover, your program's continued alignment with the organizational strategic goals and objectives, and ultimately, you must also keep in mind the overall program success, which is dependent on the realization of the benefits. Okay, enterprise environmental factors external to the program may influence the selection, design, funding, and management of the program. So now we are specifically talking about the enterprise environmental factors. Earlier we were saying influences. Now we can uh, broadly call them EEFs, as we know them from the project management world. So enterprise environmental factors external to the program may influence the selection, design, funding, and management of a program. On the other hand, enterprise environmental factors refer to conditions not under the immediate control of the team. Naturally, environments are not under your control. When there is a regulation passed by the government, how can you control it? Can you stop government from passing that regulation? Although you could predict that such like thing is going to be coming, but you have no power to undo it. So that's exactly why that external enterprise environmental factors cannot be taken care of, except that you align yourself accordingly. So they will influence, constrain, and direct the program. You will be directed by that. A program should be selected and prioritized according to how well it supports the organization's strategic goals and objectives. So, remaining within the bounds of these enterprise environmental factors, internal or external, program should still be selected and prioritized according to how well it supports organization strategic goals and objectives. Meaning what? That it would be the program would be prioritized higher if uh, it is more aligned with the strategic goals and objectives of the organization. Strategic goals do change, and we discussed that earlier also, that right in the middle of everything, when the program is running and suddenly your organizational strategy has changed, maybe due to anything, due to any environmental factor, or maybe due to the joint venture or something like that, where you lose the ownership of your company, and somebody else comes and takes it over, and naturally they will come up with their own strategy. So strategic goals can change due to any reason, small reason or large reason, they can change. When this occurs, a change in the direction of the organization may cause the programs to be misaligned with the organization's revised strategic plan. The new strategic plan they will create would not be in the alignment of whatever you have designed your program to be. Therefore, you have to realign your program to the new strategy. And if by doing that you understand that your program has lost some of its weight, it is no more valid, or it has gone down in priority due to the changed strategy, then your program may go on hold, or may even cease to exist. In this case, the program may be changed, put on hold, or cancelled regardless of how well it was performing. That is the point. It does not matter how well the things were going in the program. If it is no more aligned with the organization strategy due to so many reasons, it will have to end. They will not see how nicely was it being done. And as you all understand, enterprise environmental factors may include following: business environment, market, funding, resources, industry, health, safety, environment, economy, cultural diversity, geographic diversity, regulatory, legislative, growth, supply-based, technology, political influences, audits, new business processes, standards, practices, and discoveries and inventions. Anything and everything could impact your program internally or externally, and those things which are not under your own direct control, these are the enterprise environmental factors. So the list is almost similar to what we have seen in PMBOK. So we understand these are internal or external enterprise environmental factors. Now, what are the considerations? Considerations of these factors and their associated uncertainty or change helps the ongoing assessment and evolution of an organization and the alignment of its programs with its goals. You see how alignment had changed suddenly due to one of the environmental factors, that even the strategy changed and project was no more valid. The ongoing management of a program should include continual monitoring of the environmental factors. Keep an eye on the environmental factors, as if anything is changing, you should immediately able to realign yourself, or at least you must know that your strategy is going out of line, or you are going out of line for that matter, to ensure the program remains aligned with the organizational strategic objectives, right? So the thing you are aligned with, if you are not checking it constantly, maybe that thing is no more there at all, and you are aligned with something in dreams. There's no practical thing in front of you in which you are being aligned. So keep an eye on that. Then is the environmental analysis. Now, consideration here is this section of environmental analysis outlines various forms of analysis that may be used to assess the validity of a program's business case and program management plan. First, we talked about enterprise environmental factors. Now we are talking about the enterprise environmental analysis, and that enterprise environmental analysis will actually kind of it is a environmental feasibility, you can call it. There's a financial or investment feasibility based on the funding and all that, and this is the environmental analysis, whether this program will have any environmental impact on the surroundings, or the surroundings will have any impact on the program. So these are the things which have to be seen here. So program the business case would be greatly impacted by the environmental analysis, and that is the requirement. You see, you are trying to construct a huge building in Islamabad. The environment people will not allow you to do that, right? So there are laws established that you cannot construct a building of this much height or more, and there are only select regions where you can have higher buildings. You can see around blue area you will find a lot many high rise building, but otherwise you don't see anywhere in Islamabad that you have got these kind of buildings. There are certain areas nominated or earmarked for that. So considerations of the results from one or more environmental analysis enables the program manager to highlight factors that have potential for impacting the program and informs the risk management. So if something can go wrong, there is an uncertainty, that is a risk management, and that is exactly what we are going to be doing. We are going to develop a risk response strategy. Then the previous not previous, but later on, the sections 3.4.2.125 are provided as representative samples of environmental analysis that may be performed or commissioned by the program manager. And what are they? Number one, comparative advantage analysis, feasibility studies, SWOT analysis, assumption analysis, historical information analysis. So this is the program level where you are supposed to be going through these kinds of analysis. You see, in project management, we did study a bit about feasibility studies, or maybe, it was just mentioned there, but classically speaking, project management manager was not actually doing the feasibility study. He could have been involved, but he was not responsible. He was not the actual person who does the feasibility. But here, you are responsible for the feasibility, for the business case. So the activities included are not intended to be comprehensive or all inclusive. When conducting environmental analysis for a strategic initiative or a business case, it is important to consider that competing efforts may reside within or external to the organization. A typical business case includes analysis and comparison against real or hypothetical alternative scenarios. When appropriate, comparative advantage analysis may also include what if analysis. So again, all of these different kinds of analysis you have studied in one way or the other. Comparative advantage analysis, we have got two options, like just like alternative analysis, you have got two options, and you do the pros and cons of them, and whichever is comparatively better than the other has a comparative advantage or a competitive advantage. May also include what if analysis. For doing this comparative analysis, you can use what if analysis in it, which is again risk related, to illustrate how the program's objectives and intended benefits could be achieved by other means. So where comparative analysis is telling us what else to do, what are the other ways of doing things, this may which will help me perform my job better. Using the business case feasibilities. Using the business case, organizational goals, and other existing initiatives as a base, this process assesses the feasibility of the program within the organization's financial, sourcing, complexity, and constraint profile. This analysis contributes to the body of information that decision makers require to approve or deny the program proposal. So based on your feasibility, it will be a seed for the decision makers to ultimately give decision whether we should go ahead or we should stop. So the decision of approving, denying, or maybe pending would always remain with the stakeholders. An analysis of SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Wherever we are going to be talking about risk, we have to talk about SWOT, because we are just about to uh, identify the program level risks. So we are developing a risk management plan for strategy for that. So basically, SWOT analysis will be required. SWOT analysis is usually used at the strategic level, in which we try to assess what all are our strengths as an organization, what all are our weaknesses as an organization, what are the different opportunities open to us, and what are the different threats. This is SWOT, SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis, particularly the analysis of weaknesses and threats, may be a valuable input to the development of the program risk management strategy. So this becomes a major input into program management strategy. SWOT analysis may also form part of the feasibility study as well as the business case. Yes, of course, when you are creating those documents, business case and the feasibility study, you probably may like to use that. Then in assumption analysis, we have got more than one assumption, and I have to analyze amongst those assumptions which is a better assumption. Assumptions are factors that for planning purposes are considered true, real, are certain, identified initially during business case development. Right? So when we were developing the business case, we had taken certain assumptions, and assumption is defined as these are factors that for planning purposes are considered true, real, or certain. Identified initially during business case development. Assumptions affect all aspects of the program and are part of the progressive elaboration of the program. Progressive elaboration is as we move on the life of the project, we will keep learning something. So it is not a permanent feature, and therefore you won't find a tool doing that. So basically, assumptions do affect all aspects of program management. Program managers regularly identify and document assumptions as part of their planning process. All the assumptions must be clearly spelled out and they must be written down somewhere. In addition, assumptions should be validated during the course of the program. While the program is going on, we still have to have some analysis to ensure that the assumptions have not been invalidated by events or other program activities. Then is the historical information analysis. Uh, Classically speaking, this is the lessons learned, this is the historical information, whatever you want to call it. Previously completed programs and completed phases of active programs may be of a source of lessons learned and best practices for new programs. Historical information includes artifacts, metrics, risks, and estimations from previous programs, projects, and ongoing operations that may be relevant to the current program. Historical information describes the successes, failures, and lessons learned in particularly important during program definition. Our last heading is program risk management strategy. Successful delivery of the program roadmap aligned with organizational strategy and with consideration to the environmental factors found in the environmental assessments depend on well-known project risk strategy. So the whole story is now terminating into a risk management strategy. The roadmap we had created according to the organizational strategy using the environmental factors found in the environmental assessment depends on one thing, and that is the well-defined program risk strategy. So this is why this heading is the last heading in this chapter, and everything is culminating into a risk management strategy. So what do we do here? Although in section 8 details of program risk management activities are there, this specific section addresses the specific program risk management strategy. We are not talking about the management of the risk itself, but what is our strategy, what should we be doing in what kind of circumstances. This is, we are strategizing ourselves according to the business case and all that. That derives the project risk management activities, like actively identifying, monitoring, analyzing, accepting, mitigating, avoiding, or retiring program risk. So what kind of responses can we have to ensure the program is aligned with the organizational strategy? So this is the selection of an appropriate, you know, uh, type of activity would lead me to better risk management strategy. Risk management and strategic alignment. The consideration here is strategic alignment comprises the alignment of the program roadmap. Program roadmap is how the things are going to be happening generally, and it is supported objectives to organizational strategy. The roadmap is definitely aligned with the organizational strategy. This involves having a risk management strategy that ensures effective management of any risk that can cause the program to be out of alignment with organizational strategy. What does this include? Such a risk management strategy will include, number one, defining program risk thresholds. This is actually what we usually do in our risk management plan in project management. We establish the rules there and then we follow them. So here in risk management strategy, uh, the rules for program risk management are being established there. So defining the risk threshold. So what is risk from this program's perspective? How big is the risk? So you must understand the threshold, the limits which you can absorb. Anything within the threshold is considered acceptable risk, and any risk which does not fall into the upper and higher level of the threshold, that would be an actual risk. Performing the initial program risk assessment. Basically, what we are trying to be doing is we are actually going to do the whole risk management, planning, identification, analysis, and all that. So, define program risk threshold, perform initial program risk assessment. What kind of risks are expected to come in this program? Then developing a high-level program risk response strategy, as well as determining how risk will be communicated to strategic levels of the organization. Remember, this is not our response plan as such. We are just devising a risk response strategy. We are just classifying various types of actions we can take in case of certain risks occurring. So the risk responses, the possible risk responses are being recognized here. But actually, when the risk will be identified later, that would be the time when this strategy will apply to that. So determining how risk will be communicated to strategic levels of the organization. As far as risk threshold is concerned, strategic alignment requires program risk threshold to take into account the organization's strategy, including its risk appetite, which is an assessment of the organization's willingness to accept and deal with the risk. What is the policy of the organization? How big is too big for the organization? Right? How big is too big for the organization? And what does not matter? So, risk appetite is what does not matter. Right? Any risk which falls into my normal appetite, so I have already decided I can bear the loss of this much risk. So it doesn't matter. I will accept it as such. But if it is beyond that limit, then probably I have to identify it as a risk and then create a proper analysis and ultimately the response. So response strategy is developed here, not exactly the response. Response is not being established here. Program risk threshold, for that we need to, as we have seen earlier, we need to define the appetite. So the risk threshold is a measure of degree of acceptable variation around a program objective that reflects the risk appetite of the organization and program stakeholders. Right? If you see, program says that we can deviate uh, -5 plus 5% from our stated objectives. So that would be defining a risk threshold. Or for that matter, we can financially, we can spend from this amount to this amount, but anything more is not acceptable. Anything less also may not be acceptable, because in such a low cost, probably this job cannot be done. So identify the definition of the risk threshold and the risk appetite, which we have discussed already. So risk threshold is a measure of the degree of acceptable variation around a program objective that reflects the risk appetite of the organization and program stakeholders. What are the key elements here? As previously mentioned, key element of program risk strategy is the establishment and monitoring of program risk threshold. Program risk threshold has to be established. So examples of program risk threshold may be: number one, minimum level of risk exposure for a risk to be included in the risk register. So, how big a risk should be that it qualifies to be in the list of risk register? Anything which is in the list of risk register, it qualifies to be a risky item. Qualitative, high, medium, low, etc., are quantitative numerical definitions of risk rating. How much is the risk rating? Maximum level of risk exposure. What can go worse? That can be managed within the program, beyond which an escalation is triggered. Then we have certain integral steps. Establishing program risk threshold is an integral step in linking program risk management to strategy alignment, and therefore should be done as part of early planning. So that's why we are doing that when we are establishing the risk thresholds. Based on the risk appetite of the organization, program governance, as I said, program governance is important in establishing the rules as if they can be included into program management plan. So governance is very important. Working collaboration with corporate governance and the program management team may also be responsible for ensuring the program risk threshold are established and observed in the program. So whatever threshold is established, you are responsible as a team member or as a program manager, whatever, you are responsible to observe those risks and treat them if needed. Initial program reassessment assessment. This is the integral step. While program risk management is conducted throughout the life of the program, the initial program risk assessment prepared during program definition offers a unique opportunity to identify risks to organization strategic plan. Interestingly, naturally, when we will be moving forward with our program, then we will be going down to the detail level, and that time we won't be able to encourage or say that uh, the code or anything was very good. That very okay. So this is a unique opportunity to identify risks to organization strategic alignment. It enables risks to be considered when developing the program roadmap. Even at roadmap level, some high level risks could definitely be identified. But this is the time where most of the risks are identified the first time you do it. As such, it is critical that the initial program risk assessment identifies any risk to strategy alignment, which includes but is not limited to any uncertain events or conditions that, if they occur, could lead to program objectives not supported of program of organizational objectives, program roadmap not aligned with organizational roadmap, program roadmap and supporting documents are not part of any portfolio or whatever. So program objective is supportive, not supportive of organizational objectives. This could be one reason. Program roadmap not aligned with the organizational roadmap. Program roadmap not supportive of portfolio roadmap. Program objective not supportive of portfolio objective, and program resource requirement out of sync with organizational capacity and capability. Once the initial program risk assessment is performed, a risk response strategy is developed to complete the project program risk management strategy. Then is the strategy, program risk management, risk response strategy. What is the rating criteria? This also has to be established when we are establishing the strategy. Program risk response strategy combines the elements of the risk threshold and the initial risk assessment into a plan for how program risk will be managed effectively and consistently throughout the life of the program. For each individual risk, the risk threshold can be used to identify the specific response. For example, as I was giving you the example, 5% schedule variance means that if the schedule variance is up to 5%, then we need not take any action. But if it is more, then we need to take action. So this is one example of that. Then risk rating, no significant risk. There is no significant risk, but still you have to find the flaw and correct it. And lastly, your response strategy, risk rating and your response strategy. Our robust program risk management strategy comprises a specific risk response strategy for each of the risk rating levels. So, good practice would have been that as many sessions you had, you should be able to devote that much time to your trainer. Then we are still on the example of program strategic alignment. Therefore, is a program performance domain that is initiated during the program definition phase with the development of the business case, program charter, and program roadmap, supported with inputs from environment and assessment and the okay environment assessment and program risk management strategy. This upstream effort results in the development of the program management plan that is aligned with the organizational goals and objectives. Now, organizational plan is also aligned with the organizational strategy. Your project or program is also aligned. Can you find some relationship between your project and the other guy's project who has got a cylinder of gas? So we have to understand his problem, and accordingly, we should create a response for that. This upstream effort supports the development of the program management plan that is aligned with organization goals and objectives. So if you are having anything lacking out of these three things, then probably you should actually be talking about this kind of risk. Program strategy alignment, therefore, is a program performance domain that is initiated during program definition phase with the development of the business case, program charter, and program roadmap, supported with input from environmental assessments and program risk management strategy. Right. This brings us to the end of this chapter, and okay, let's talk first. What do you did you get anything? There's nothing much about it, but you see, they were important points which we talked about. If you understand the risk management and you know initial documents are created of PMI, then you will be easily able to comment on that. Your mics are open, both of you.
Yeah, it's open.
Okay, fine. Let me do another thing. Let me give you a small little exam for this very portion. In a while, you will see on your screens an exam appearing. There will be a number of questions in that paper about the strategy. So answer these questions and then we will see. Yes, what do you want to say, Shahrazan?
So last 15 minutes, your voice is breaking. I don't know.
Oh,
When you're talking, it is showing Suhail and Suhail. Maybe you're connected, you have a two connection.
okay. So this is network problem. So how much you did not listen? About 15 minutes?
No, I was listening, but it is, no, it is listening. I'm listening, continuously listening,
Okay, but
but it is having here and there.
problems, right. Okay, let's take on the exam and see what happens,
Okay.
because I suppose there would not be any difficulty in the exam. So
Chalo.
attempt these questions, both of you, and as soon as you submit it, we will talk about it. I have launched it. It should be appearing in front of your screen. Response strategy. So this was simple. This could be easily summarized that way. Anyways, I will close the exam and see what comes to front of me. Okay, I am going to request we share it with you. Do let me know if you see it on the screen. Please raise your hand. And you see it on the screen. You see, the average score of both of you, 40 and 50, comes out to be 45%. So this is okay. First question. The answer was D. What did you answer it for? Assume you are working for an organization ABC which has about 500 people in it. Recently, your executives attended a one-day training program that presented an overview of the portfolio program and project management. When the CEO, CFO, and CIO returned from the session, you were tasked to provide a list of all of the projects underway in the organization for their review. When you reviewed all the projects, you found that some of the multiple projects can be managed as a program. Why? Deliverables are independent. That is wrong. A collective capability is delivered. No. Resource constraints affects the projects. No. Greater benefits would result by joining them together. So this question was attempted 100% correct. Both of you correctly pointed to D option. Second question, both of you were wrong. Why? Question was, You met with the members of the executive committee in your company, ABC. They were impressed with your knowledge of program management, and since they had attended the one-day seminar, they told you they wanted to make sure every program they set up supported the organization's strategic goals. Because why do they want that? Number one, organization strategy is a result of its strategic planning. Not really. Organizational strategy affects how its vision will be achieved. Affects vision is translated into strategy, not strategy is translated into vision. And by the way, what does it have to do with the programs? Different clients, suppliers, and technologies are included in each program. Then so what? Fourth is benefit and outcomes may affect the entire organization. Benefits and outcomes may affect the entire organization. This is the most suited answer out of the available. But probably you marked some other option which is not correct. Question number 3. Again, both of you have attempted it wrong. Correct answer was timelines. Working to improve the maturity of an organization's work in program management, there are a number of items one can do. In the early stage of such an initiative, one recognizes the influence of the program by the needs of the organization's portfolio, an example of which is working to improve the maturity of an organization work in program management. Here, there are a number of items one can do. Timelines, stakeholder expectations, risk tolerance, and escalated issues. Okay, this is question number 4, 3. Okay. Why timeline? As an organization manages its portfolio, programs are influenced by portfolio needs, one of which is timelines. Others include organizational strategy and objectives, benefits, funding allocations, requirements, and constraints. This is okay. Question number 4. Again, both of you are wrong. The correct answer is B, exploit strategic opportunities to change. Question was, moving into the program management is a major change for organizations, especially in ones in which people are more used to working on projects. Programs have broader scope, tend to be more complex, and may last for many years. This means it is necessary to focus on benefits management, exploit strategic opportunities for change, recognize the vision reveals the organization's truest intent, and focus on market changes. Exploit strategic opportunities for change to maximize the program's realization of benefits for the organization. It is necessary to exploit strategic opportunities for change. Question number 5. One of you is right and one of you is wrong. You are one of many project managers working on the new plasma screen development program. Your project has not yet started, but the program manager is anxious to have it begin as soon as the program starts. But before you can receive the go-ahead to start, it is necessary to create a schedule, define the expected benefit in the business case, have a business case. Benefits will be defined later. First, you will have the business case and the program mandate. That is the right answer. Question number 5. Before a program can be chartered, the business case and mandate must be approved by organizational leadership. So you must have the mandate and the business case as if the program charter can be initiated. 6, both of you are wrong. Assume you are the program sponsor for the new program on the new plasma screen. Replace the LCD and enhance plasma. As you worked to obtain approval for this program, you decided to contribute to the body of knowledge available to the decision makers. So you held a focus group, consulted with experts for suggestions based on work on previous programs, conducted a customer acceptance review, prepared a feasibility study. As you worked to obtain approval of this program, you decided to contribute to the body of knowledge available to the decision makers as you. Why feasibility? Feasibility study builds on the business case, organizational goals. Remember where you are. You have not yet started the project. Existing initiatives to assess the organization finance, source, complexity, constraint profile. Therefore, it contributes to the information available to decision makers in program selection. Question number 7, both are wrong. Right answer is C. Assume you are working in a Fortune 500 company. Recently, your company hired an outside OPM3 certified professional to conduct an organizational project management maturity assessment of its program management practices in terms of the standardized, measure, control, and continuously improve areas. Organizational project management relates to program management because it has an approach to foster a sustainable competitive advantage, has a program management office, has an emphasis to harmonize project program components, has a focus on developing and implementing plan toward a common goal. Okay, so basically 3C is the correct answer. Organizational project management is a strategy executing framework that uses projects, programs, and portfolio management and organization enables to predictably and consistently deliver organizational strategy. In program management, the emphasis is to harmonize project and program components and control interdependencies to realize benefits. Question number 8, one of you is correct. As you work to prepare the business case for the new plasma screen program, you recognize it is essential to identify potential benefits that will accrue from establishing the program. You have assembled a team of stakeholders and plan to interview them for their opinions. You want to point out how and when the program's goals will be pursued. It is documented in the program plan, benefit realization plan, business case, program roadmap. So this is the planning work you are carrying out. Actually, I would rather say he should have written program management plan. This is the only mistake. Otherwise, this A is the right answer. Program plan is prepared in program strategy alignment. Among other things, it defines how and when the goals of the program will be pursued in each program component. Then in question number 9, one of you is correct. You are preparing the business case to obtain organizational leadership approval for a new program to implement a company-wide customer relationship management system to better manage sales activities and leads. You have meeting with many people as you work to prepare this business case, and already you have heard a lot of the more than 600 salespersons people in your company object to it. Your business plan, therefore, should clearly address technical feasibility, intrinsic benefits, how generally accepted methods of change management will be used, how return on investment will be calculated to demonstrate success. So the answer is intrinsic benefits. The scenario is an example of an internal program. The business case contains a number of items, one of which is intrinsic and extrinsic benefits. As an internal program, intrinsic benefits should be part of the business case. Question number 10. You are working for the Motor Carrier Safety Administration responsible for the regulation of motor carriers. You are a senior executive and you are meeting with the administrator of the agency to review new programs and projects for the next budget cycle to be part of the overall portfolio. You have suggested that a program be established to consolidate various projects that require overhaul of existing regulations. Such a program is, both of you are wrong, it is C, the catalyst for change. Internal programs such as the one in this question are enterprise-wide process improvement programs and are undertaken by the organization as a catalyst for change. 11th question, both of you are right. A was the right answer, program vision. Question number 12, both of you are right. Question number 13, both of you are right. 14, both are right. 15. Okay, earlier as all result of all of your hard work and diligence to get your program started, and based on the business case that you developed, you may receive approval from your portfolio review board, which consists of your organization's senior leaders to proceed to initiate your program. However, you now should define how the program aligns with the strategic plan. This should have been done already. Define your program mission statement. Establish a high-level roadmap. This has been done. Prepare individual plan for components. No, not yet. So B is the right answer for question number 15. And it says mission statement describes the purpose of the program and states the reason the program exists. Then we have question number 16. One of you is right. You are on the program planning team to develop a program for the next generation of drugs to combat joint disease. The executive sponsor has asked that you prepare comparative advantage analysis to show what if analysis is the correct answer. Show what if analysis. Comparative advantage analysis is used to assess the validity of the business case. The business case includes analysis and comparison against real or hypothetical efforts, including what if analysis, to show how the program's objectives and intended benefits may be achieved by other means. Question number 17, you both have attempted right. Question number 18, are you working to obtain approval for this Air Force radar program? You realize the necessity of conducting a SWOT analysis. Its analysis then, okay. Focus on factors outside of the program, assist in benefit identification, help to develop the program charter, and help establish meaningful measures to assess program performance. So C is the correct answer for question number 18. SWOT analysis as a type of environmental analysis that can be conducted, it provides information useful in developing the program charter and program plan. 19th question, correct answer is C, and both of you are wrong. You need to select the program with the shortest payback period. Okay, payback period means which returns your money back as soon as possible. Project A, 100,000, have annual net cash flows as net cash flow 25,000. That means for how many years? You need 5 years to completely recover that money. In project B, 75,000, that means in the second year you would be done with inflows of 20,000. No, sorry, 20,000. So 20, 40, 60, fourth year. In fourth year. 25,000, means exactly 4 years, and this says in the fourth year. Program C 225 with 80,000, 80 and 80 160, and 80 to 40. So it is less than 3 years. Project D 275 and 90, 90 and 90 100, and okay. So according to that, project C is the best, and probably you both should have done it right. Question number 20, you both did right. Okay, thank you. That is very fine. So anyways, I think if you have any questions, we can discuss that. Otherwise, we are done for today. Yes, any questions?
Sir, the 90 was very easy. We just needed a small calculator. This should
Oh,
have been right.
yeah, exactly.
But such mathematical will come in the final.
Of course, of course. Very few questions, but yes, they are there. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, Shaul Hamid, what do you say? Okay, then I think we should call it a day. Thank you very much for your cooperation. And tomorrow again, tomorrow we'll be meeting half hour later, meaning what? We will start at 7:30, and we will try to be done before 10:30, right? So thank you very much and take care. See you tomorrow, the same time, rather 7:30. Thank you and goodbye.